Good afternoon. Narvette Kelly, the curriculum resource teacher at Richardson 6th Grade Academy. Thank you so much for attending our Team D Spring Curriculum Night. On the screen, you should see an agenda for this evening's events. And this will let you know how the evening will flow. We're going to open up with a review of the children's data and some resources that are going to be shared with you that can be utilized at home to help your child. Then Ms. Harris, Team D's ELA teacher, will share concerning her classroom. Mrs. Lear will share concerning her classroom. We have a segment called Ask It Basket for all the parents that submitted questions in advance. And then we will wrap up with any additional questions that you have and any sharing that you would like to do. The purpose of this event is an opportunity for you to ask any questions you have of us, share information with your Team D teachers, and just to connect and just give you some resources that we hope will be helpful in helping your child continue to develop as they learn throughout their schooling. If you have any questions throughout the evening, we do ask that either you save them until the end or you use the chat feature within Zoom. If you're on most devices, you will see the word chat at the bottom. If you don't, if you click on the More button, you will see the word chat. And if you click on that, then you will be able to type whatever message that is you have, and you can choose the person you would like to address it to. And you can address it to everyone because we will address all questions. So that is just an additional option if you didn't have any questions to submit in advance, or if you think of any as the night goes on. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Most of our attendees have received a series of reports. And for those of you who are just registering, we're so glad that you're here. And we will share those items with you because it's specifically tailored to your child. And I wanted to make sure that there was enough time allocated to make sure you get the correct information. We're going to discuss Iready first. Iready is the diagnostic assessment we use in grades kindergarten through 8 in Columbia County. And your child has been taking Iready diagnostic tests and doing Iready activities in class since they were in 3rd grade. I'm going to share an Iready reading report, an Iready math report, and talk about some of the specifics and how it can be utilized for you to see, where your child is doing great and where your child is still growing. So, on your screen, you should see a report called Iready Diagnostic Results. This is for the subject of reading, and this is a sample student. So your child's Iready report isn't going to look exactly like this. Most school years, students take the Iready assessment 3 times a year, at the beginning of the year, at mid-year, and then at the end of the year. Our most recent assessment were held in January and February of this year, which is later than we usually do the assessment, but due to block scheduling, kids could only test every other day. So when you receive an Iready report, the second diagnostic report, this would have been in February, that would have gone home. This is how it should look. The first thing you see is it tells you the scores that your child should have in 6th grade, what the 6th grade range would be. For the middle of the year in 6th grade, the ideal score would be a 616 or higher. And 6th grade level would involve a score in reading of 598 to 653. For this particular sample student, if we move to this section of the report, This student scored a 617, which is one away from what's considered as middle of on grade level. So this student is performing at on grade level at the mid-year, which is awesome. It gives the date that the child finished the assessment, and it actually says mid-6th, which means middle 6th grade. In this area, it will tell you, what your child's level will be. Ideally, we'd like to see all of our children have green dots. Sometimes our kids may have a yellow dot or a red dot, and that's just an indicator for you to know that that particular subject is an area where your child still needs to grow. And we're going to talk about tonight how we can help them do that. On your child's report, on the mid-year report, you will see a blue bar. Ideally, on the blue bar, you will see a very lightly drawn blue line. That shows where the student scored at the beginning of the year. On every report, what we'd like to see, regardless of what the level is a plus sign and a number, because that means your child showed or demonstrated growth since the beginning of the year assessment. And this student grew 32 points between the first assessment and the second assessment. And so the score that is here is where the child is performing now. To determine what the child scored at the beginning of the year, if you subtract 32 from that number, then you would know the child's beginning of the year score. The next thing that you will see is the word typical, and it has a number here. That shows what a student would typically score by the end of the year if they make 1 year's growth from this particular starting point. For every student, this is going to be different. If your child's bar is above that line, that means they've made, or they demonstrated, I should say, more than a year's growth. Our stretch growth indicator on the report, we typically use for our students who are scoring below the 6th grade level. Those students would need to make more than a year's growth in order to be on a path to achieving on grade level status. And so even though this student is on grade level, the stretch growth, that goal that was indicated, the student surpassed that as well. So this was remarkable for a mid-year assessment. If your child has that little arrow and there's a plus sign, that is something to celebrate, especially if it's showing that they're inching closer and closer to their typical growth goal. We expect for our students to be at least 50 to 60% at mid-year, ideally 60% of their goal by mid-year, and that's to account for time it takes to do standardized testing at the end of the year in order for us to say this student is on course to making growth. If you move over to the right, you see the domains that every student is tested in. For 6th grade, students should have tested out of phonological awareness, phonics, and high frequency words. Those are elementary level skills. Sometimes we do have students who need to grow and develop in those areas, and we target services for those students. We really look at the vocabulary, comprehension literature, which is fiction, and comprehension informational text, which is nonfiction. We like to see greens. On this student's report, early 6 means that this particular student is demonstrating competency in this area at a beginning 6th grade level. So for vocabulary and literature, which is primarily fiction reading, this student is early 6th grade. And for informational text, this student demonstrates competency at a late 6th grade level, which is like the end of the year. So this is really good progress for this particular student. If you see any reds or yellows in this area, it just means that this is an area of growth, for your child where some emphasis needs to be placed in order to help them grow. Moving down further, this year's parent reports had a new feature, and that's the national norm and Lexile performance levels. This has typically been on the teacher reports that the teachers have access to. but this year it's been placed on the parent reports as well. You'll see what's called a national norm percentile, which means when this particular diagnostic assessment was first given, there's a group of students who were considered as what's called the norm group. Your child's performance is in comparison to how students performed in that norm group. We like to see what's called 50th percentile or higher. 50th percentile is more closer to being on level. This particular student scored at the 75th percentile, which means this student scored higher than 75% of the students who took the initial assessment when it was first given. So that's not in comparison to their classmates at RSGA. Okay, so we like to see 50% or higher. The next item you see is what's called a Lexile Measure. And that word to many people sounds like a foreign language. But typically what Lexile measures do is what's measured is what's called the complexity of a piece of text. And there's a term that we use in education now called complex text. It means, how well does this student understand texts that are more complex? And this child's Lexile or text complexity level is 1090. In a moment, we're going to talk about how to understand what these scores mean and how these scores can be used to locate resources that are helpful to your child. For everyone that's attending this evening, what we're providing is the report that's typically shared with teachers through the Iready platform with some modifications. And that's because we wanted to show you, typically on a parent report, the parent report would only show the information that's on this very first page. And that's the information that we just went over. The teacher reports drill down a little more, and we only shared the can do section and the next steps. For each of the sections that are indicated here, for each of the three categories, vocabulary, literature, and informational text, you will see first what your child scored in that particular section, and you can compare that to the child's overall score so you can see how far off from the overall score that it is. And you will see what your child demonstrated that they can do and some next steps. The tools for instruction are a teacher feature, so you won't be able to access those. But we wanted for you to see what the next steps were, just to give you an idea of the types of skills that your child can work on between now and the end of the year. And that's for each section of this Iready report. Going back, there's a document called Understanding Lexile Measures that we're going to take a look at in just a moment. Before we do, families this evening that are participating are receiving what's called a Florida Standards Report. For reading and for math, Iready has a feature where for each child, there's a Florida Standards Report generated, and it has all of the 6th grade standards for that particular subject. You'll see a key where next to each standard, you will see either a green check mark, which means that your child likely understands that particular standard based on their Iready practice and diagnostic test performance. Or you may see a check mark that is clear, which means that your child is beginning to show some understanding of that standard as based on their work in the Iready program. Or you may see an X, which means that that's an area where your child most likely will need to develop. Just keep in mind when reviewing this report, the students took the second diagnostic test 2 months ago. So between that time and now, there are some standards where they may have demonstrated an understanding since that time, but we wanted to share it with you because it is just a little guide just to show you where your child is showing some strengths and where your child may still continue to grow. And with this particular student, you can see indicated the standards that are particular strengths for the child, which are the ones in green, the ones that they're beginning to show some understanding in, which are clear, and ones where they may need a little more practice. So with this student, determining meanings of words and phrases as they're used in text, like figurative language, similes, metaphors, those types of skills, that would be an area where you may want to see if your child still needs to develop. And we're going to talk about how you can begin to locate those resources and some activities that can be practiced that can help build those particular areas. On the main report, there's a link called Understanding Lexile Measures. You're receiving a Lexile parent guide. And in the parent guide, I'm just going to take you to the most essential parts. It will show you there's a key here where you can find your child's Lexile score. That was on the Iready report, just to see where your child falls in, and it gives you some sample text that would be at that particular level. It also explains a little more what the Lexile framework is and how parents can use these measures. So step one was determining the measure, which that is listed on the Iready report. Step two is finding just right books. So there's a feature where your child can search for books at their level. And we're about to visit this particular site now to see how this feature works. Then the next step is just to monitor your growth. Every time there's a diagnostic assessment, that's an opportunity for you to see if that level has moved up any, so that you can monitor the growth. And we're going to go to a site that's called the Lexile and Quantile Hub that's going to show you how to find reading and math tools that are available to teachers, to parents, and even students can take a look at this site to see if they can find resources. So we're going to click the link. We'll visit there in just a moment. The next resource that you will provide is how to use Lexile measures to help your child find a book. We're about to go to the site and use that now. I've already clicked on the link that's in this document so that we can do that, but I wanted to show you that this is one of the items that you received that can help you locate reading material that's at your child's reading level. And in terms of the domain of vocabulary, the greatest way to develop a child's vocabulary is to have them to read as much as possible. So we're going to take a look at that now. Okay. The site that everyone should see now is the Lexile Quantile site, and it's hub.lexile.com. You have the link to the site and the resources that are being shared. If you visit this site, you have options as to how to search. You can either search by your child's grade level and whether the assigned readings in class are easy, just right, or difficult, or you can use a child's Lexile level. And in the instance of our sample student, his Lexile was a 1050. And so when that's put in, it shows the range. If you just want to find materials at your child's Lexile level, you can click search. And it shows you books, a variety of books that are at or within the range of your child's reading level. Or if you want to get more specific, it has where you can apply filters. I was like from the beginning, instead of just putting in the child's Lexile, I like to search by interest, because a lot of times it's easier to get kids to read if they're reading material that they're interested in. And so they have categories that you can choose from. I'm a mystery suspense person, so I'm going to click on that. And when you choose a category, there are subcategories within that can be chosen, and you can choose actually as many as possible. So I click mystery and suspense. I can also choose science fiction and fantasy, fiction, nonfiction, and poetry, and then choose as many subcategories as possible based on those choices. And it shows you like all the different areas that they can choose. I once had a student who was interested in the paranormal. So I'm going to choose that one and choose all of these and click search. And it gives me all of those books within that category. Our school's website has a link to Capstone where digital books can be found. Also, a lot of people use Epic, which has digital books. So some of these titles could be found digitally, but this is just a sampling of books. And students can also look in our school's media center. And these are books that, just based on your child's level, that would be within your child's particular reading range, and you're able to search that by interest. And I just always thought that was just such a neat resource. Going back to resources that were shared, the next one involves the domain of vocabulary, which for our RSGA students, many of our students struggle in this area across the subjects. There's a feature on the Lexile site where, based on the grade level for the grade band 6 through 8, vocabulary words that will occur the most often in school and in textbooks. There's a listing on that particular website that has those words. We're going to visit that feature now so that you can see how it works. Okay. There's a bar that's on the left side for Lexile tools. We just finished looking at Find a Book. We're going to go to word lists. We're going to select the grade band 6 through 8. What I want to show you, this particular site can be used, as shared before, by teachers, parents, and students. For parents and teachers, if you register for an account, it unlocks a lot more features. I am registered for this account as a teacher, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And then once signed in, it shows different tools that are available for Lexiles and Quantiles. And by the way, Quantiles is math. If I click where it says all tools, if I'm a parent, I click on tools for parents, and it will only show me the tools that are geared towards parents. Okay. And then students, I don't encourage students to register for an account. They can still access features. The only difference is they won't be able to save anything that is pulled up. But I'm going to go back over to the word list feature again, but I did want to show you that it's something you can register for. I'm going to choose grade band 6 through 8. Because I'm signed in, there's some features I can use on this site. So if you register, it's free. There's a premium access option, but for everything that we're going over tonight, it's in the free option. You select a particular domain. General means general academic words. Social studies are words that occur in grades 6 through 8 for social studies, math, and science. Okay. So just for fun, I'm going to select all of them. When it says select content, my recommendation is select words and frequency. And I'm going to explain why in a moment. and then you choose the file format, either spreadsheet or PDF. I'm going to choose both so that you can see how they look. You click download. Okay. There are my items. I'm opening both so that you can see how they look. I prefer the PDF version. And this is how the PDF version looks. The reason why I recommend selecting word frequency is because it shows you the amount of times your child is likely to encounter these words between 6th grade and 8th grade. A lot of our students need to develop in the domain of vocabulary. And we've had students, even in our advanced and advanced placement courses, who on assessments have asked teachers questions about the question because they don't understand the meanings of the words in the question. And of course, if they don't understand the question, then it's going to affect the outcome of their answers. But the word that occurs the most often based on this tool is the word analysis. A child is likely to experience it 578 times. A recommended activity to do with your child, and just a few per day, is just, matter of factly ask your child, what does the word analysis mean? If they're able to tell you, great. You can either cross through that word or put a check mark by it and just go down the list with the words. Every word that they know, cross through it. Any words that they don't know, you can highlight it, circle it, put a dash by it. And then once you've gone through all of those words, for the words that they don't know, get index cards. On one side of the index card, have your child write the word. On the other side of the index card, write the meaning of the word, either using a dictionary or searching online through an online dictionary. Make 2 sets of each one of those words. Mix up a few at a time and actually play the concentration game where they have to match the definitions to the word. And do about 5 or 10 words just so they can start practicing and becoming familiar with these words, because they will see them in the curriculum between 6th and 8th grade. And who knows, for those who are bound for colleges and universities, some of these words are also words that will appear on SAT, ACT, and the tests that you have to take, that your child will have to take to enter college. So that's just a recommended activity to build their vocabulary and to become stronger in vocabulary. There's others as well, but my time is almost up, so I've got to switch gears and show that your child also received a sample math Iready report where you can look for the exact same information, the can-dos, the next steps, concerning your child's math skills. You can look at the domains where they're tested to see if there are greens here, or if there may be some reds and there may be some yellows. The reds and yellows will give you a starting place to know where to really help your child, and your teachers are going to talk more about that. But at this point of the year, students should be at mid-6th grade. Early 6th grade is good because it means that they are performing on grade level. And just keep in mind that 2 months have passed since the assessment, so they've probably grown in some of those areas. Along with that report is the Florida Standards Report, just like with reading. For this particular student, keep in mind that at the point that this assessment was given, it was 2 months ago. So if you see some X's, especially in math, don't be alarmed by that. Your child may have been exposed to the teaching since that time. The domains to really pay attention to on the math report. Trying to find the beginning of it, I apologize. It would involve numbers and operations or the number system, which on the standards report is near the end. Most of the first semester was working on numbers and operations in the number system. So if you see some geometry or measurement standards that have X's, don't be alarmed by that, because they have to know the numbers and operation domain in order to be able to do some of the math that occurs later in the year. Also, take a look at the algebra and algebraic thinking domain of standards, especially expressions and equations. A good portion of the FSA, the Florida Standards Assessment Test, is based on that particular domain. So those are just some things to look at. You received a Quantile parent guide, and just like with the Lexile parent guide, it has some steps that you can follow in regards to helping your child. And so we're going to go back to the site where we were before. And I'm going to wrap up and transition to the teachers after that. You'll see a feature called Quantile Tools that says Math at Home. What Math at Home does, if you select the state, which is Florida, if you select the grade, which is 6th grade, you can either tell the system about your student or put the student's quantile measure in. And I'm just going to put a quantile measure in here of 950. Your child's Iready report has that number on there already. And if there's a skill where your child needs to develop, if you type in a key word, it didn't return anything for ratios. Sometimes you may have to take the quantile measure out, and you have to play with the site a little bit to get an idea. I'm going to use difficult to show that for this particular sample student, math is difficult. And this time I'm going to try greatest common factor. And click search. What it does, it shows you web resources, which are free activities that are online that can be practiced. It has activities you can download based on your child's particular level and resources that can be printed out. So just going back to the web resources, and it doesn't matter what the math skill is. You click on a site. This particular one has math tasks. This particular site, waiting for it to come up, is moving slow this evening. Has videos that you can watch to see how to do a specific skill. And there's some that actually have games that kids can play. So I had a chance to share that with you. Last thing I want to share is one feature that this particular site has in regards to the Quantile tools. There's what's called a summer math challenge that you can sign your child up for to help them retain any math skills or to practice their math skills. You can register for the summer math challenge. It's going to start near the end of June, considering the schools that start after Labor Day. So that's why it's so late, but it's still a good idea to sign up. You can sign your child up, and what it's going to do based on their Lexile scores, you select their grade, you select the school district, you select their quantile measure, you check receive your student's summer math challenge activities and related information in your email, you add the child, put the information in, and it will sign them up for the challenge. And within a few days of the challenge beginning, you'll receive a notification email. So that's just another resource that's available in order to keep your child's math skills fresh. The link to that sign up is in the documents and resources that we share. And for that particular link, it's in the Quantile Parent Guide. So where it says to practice math that supports your child and monitor growth, that feature is here. So I've taken up way too much time, and I apologize because I really didn't mean to go this long. I'm going to transition over to the teachers now. So I see Miss Lear. I would have to look at the screen to see Miss Harris. If Miss Harris is able to unmute. Hey. There you are.
Hey, I just kept my video off until now. Okay, so can I go ahead and start? All right, thank you, Miss Kelly, for sharing all those wonderful resources for our students. Parents, I appreciate you showing up, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. First of all, I just want to say how much I really do enjoy our students this year, and how sad I kind of feel that this year we haven't been able to connect with the parents like we normally do. I miss the extracurricular activities in the afternoon at school and talking with parents, showing what we're doing at the school. Like, I feel a little bit more of a disconnect this year than ever before. And I know the kids are probably feeling it too, but I definitely would love to share with you guys what we're doing in the classroom and then what you can do at home to help your child with FSA. They are going to take the FSA this year. And that's a kind of a scary thought if you think about it, because your child has not taken a state standardized test in 2 years. They haven't taken it since 4th grade. So we definitely are giving them lots of grace and compassion, and, trying not to stress them out with, oh my gosh, you got to pass, because they're more than just that number. But we do want them to show what they know, and we want to be able to get them as prepared as possible. And we're doing it pretty well. We're a little bit behind our normal scope and sequence due to COVID and just trying to catch up. Block scheduling has been a little bit of a challenge, but we're definitely getting there. One of the biggest things that we're working on right now in class is writing. Hopefully y'all can see this because I cannot see myself. It might be a good thing. We're working on, can you see it, Miss Kelly? Shake your head for me. I can see you. Okay, good. Thank you. We are working on passages in class. You can see we are doing lots of different passages. We're annotating in class. We're writing together. I'm doing more of quality versus quantity, working on the same passage over and over again, helping the kids really dig deep and dive into the learning rather than just putting a bunch of writing on them. So we've been working on that. They are taking this, starting this week, they are taking an opinion writing home to work on. So if you can help them with that, or just, make sure at night they are spending time working on that writing piece, that would be great. We're doing informative in class. And then the next thing that I want to share with you guys is the 4-week countdown to the FSA reading here. And this, I will send this home next week along with an updated Iready report, because we've done 2 growth monitorings and 2 diagnostics. So the more growth monitoring we do, the more accurate their scores are. So when I'm gonna send that home with this. And what I'm actually going to utilize this at home and in class. They're going to do it at home, come to class every day, and we're going to work on it in class. So I can give them instant feedback. I don't want to send reading home for 4 weeks and then collect it at the end and go over it. I would like to go over it every few days with them. But what you'll see in here is this is the packet. And then inside the packet, day 1, they have to read and they have to annotate. They've been working on annotations in class, so they know what that is. And then the second day, they have they have to answer some questions. Third day, answer some questions. They have to do multiple choice, fill in the blank, right to respond, all those things that they will be tested on FSA as well. Multi-select, part A's, part B's, which are very, very challenging. And like I said, we're going to go over that when they come to class. Every week is a new passage, and then they'll do a little assignment every night. So if you can just help them keep up with that, that would be great. And then, of course, last but not least is You know, students who read every single day, they perform better on state standardized tests. It actually is a proven fact that kids that read 30 minutes a night tend to score in the uppers 80 and 90 percentile. So they know they're supposed to be reading every night. I know a lot of them probably don't, but I do ask them to read every single night because we don't really do homework because of block scheduling. It's just really hard to keep up with. And I would rather spend that time going over things in class rather than spending time looking to make sure they do their homework. So reading is so important. If you guys can just do that, that would be great. And I look forward to them showing what they can do on FSA, and hopefully we all do very well. I think I'm good, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. I have multiple
Am I good to
screens on
go?
this computer. You are good to go, Ms. Lears. I had a hard time maneuvering to get to the buttons I needed to press. I apologize. Please
All right.
go ahead.
I see. Wait. Okay, started the video. Hello. All right. So I just want to reiterate exactly what Ms. Harris said. It has been a very strange year not being able to interact with parents as much as we used to. I know that that kind of puts a damper on everything. And seeing the kids every other day with block scheduling has been difficult, and absences due to various things this year. I have not given a lot of homework throughout the year just because of that fact. And I have your kids for a longer time, and we typically get everything done in class. A few weeks back, I did send home an FSA review packet. It should be in a folder for your children based on their period they're with me. And we just started tonight. They have homework depending on when they're with me. If my first period has something to do every night, they'll have 1 page a night. And my students who see me every other day will get 2 pages a night. So their homework, if they saw me today, would be week 3 and they're gonna work on the last day, day 5, and they're gonna be working on week 4, day 1. And up at the very top of the packet, it'll break it down for you and tell you the week and the day that they're on. And I work it very much the same way that Ms. Harris does. I have the kids work on 5 to 10 problems each night. Again, if they see me every other day, it would be the 10 because they would have 5 a night. And then I go over those in the morning with them. And then sometimes we take time to work through the ones in class as well to kind of get them ahead. So making sure that your student is working through the FSA packet. I do encourage them. I told them they are welcome to work ahead. I do check for it every day, but they're welcome to work ahead. I know several of them have sporting activities and things like that they do. So please let them know they can work ahead. Khan Academy is also something your children can use at home. I know that sometimes Iready, they get a little bit burned out with that, but they are welcome to work on Khan Academy. They have accounts there. And another fun thing they can do, they really like to go into, oh, my brain just left me. I have a Freckle Math account that they can go into. They love that one. So any games, and then also reading. Again, a child who reads each night does better, and reading plays a very big part of math and math word problems. So working through those. So any encouragement to read is definitely a plus. It goes across the subjects. And I am available. If you need anything, please reach out and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And I'm all good, Miss Kelly.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harris and Ms. Lear, just for sharing with our families. For the rest of the evening, it's going to be questions, answers, and just any general information that our families would like to share. First, we had some families who submitted questions in advance. And so we're going to review the information for those questions, and you'll answer those for our family. So we're going to go to that now. Okay, you should see a screen that says questions from the RSGA Ask It Basket. These are the questions that our family submitted in advance. So there it is, it finally loaded. We had quite a few parents that were interested in learning how their children's grades are currently. So one feature that we encourage parents to do, if you have an email address, computers, and a smartphone, any electronic device, if you sign up for the Focus Parent Portal, if you already have an account, it shows you where you can click to log in. If you haven't signed up before, you can create a parent account. And what you're able to do with that is you're able to log on anytime to see what your child's grades are in their classes. If you have any specific questions for an individual teacher, we encourage you to reach out directly to the teacher instead of us discussing it specifically tonight, because your child's progress is confidential, which means it's between you and that specific teacher. We're sharing this because this is an option for you, so you don't have to wait to hear from the teacher or put in a call to see how your child is doing. If you have a parent portal account and sign up for that, then you're able to log on at any time and see what your child's grades currently are. So we wanted to share that. And you're also able to update contact information if your contact information ever changes. There's information on how to do that there as well. Okay, we had a question about missing assignments for students. This particular parent was told to look on Focus Parent Portal, which we just visited that site, to see what the missing assignments were for that specific child. And the student couldn't tell the parent anything about it. And so the parent wasn't sure if the assignments ever got completed or what to do next. So in any instance where that happens, we encourage our students to use their planners and to use the planner to list all their assignments and upcoming tests, due dates, project dates, FSA testing dates in their planner, once that information becomes available.
Can I jump in for just a moment?
Sure, go ahead.
That, I'm sorry.
I apologize. I forgot to mention Ms. Harris.
No, I'm sorry.
Jump in, go ahead.
No, the kids do know. We've talked to them extensively about looking in Focus, and we even encourage them to look on Focus in class. Like there are times when they start off their day, we tell them to sign in and check their grades. Collectively, what we do, if there's a 1 in the grade book, that 1 just shows that the child had time to complete the assignment and did not get that done. And that 1 is in there as a placeholder because it does affect their overall GPA and they have time to get that done. So if there's a 1, that means that that child has time to complete it. They need to get it done, but they didn't get it done in the allotted time that we had. If it's a 0, that means the child did not get the assignment completed or turned in no work. And if there's an asterisk, it's something that we haven't graded yet. And so if you look into Focus, those are the 3 things that you should see. I hope that helps and answers the question. I don't know which. Good.
Okay. I did want to ask, is that for the subject of math or is that for Team D specifically?
I believe most of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if you all please feel free to stay unmuted, because if there are any of these you want to add any additional information, please do so. But we just listed here, and you'll receive copies of this, just some things that can be done just to help your child stay on top of their assignments. And one thing that is encouraged, if you have a computer or smartphone, is for any virtual or online assignments that have to be submitted, ask your child to log into those accounts so that you can see how they turn information in. I know with some of our students who were in virtual instruction at the beginning of the year who are transitioning to in-person, this was a big concern at the very beginning of the year, which is why we brought that out, using the planner and notebooks to organize their information and just continue to check. Ms. Lear just shared about the grading policy, about the 1% versus the 0%. That's something you're able to go into Parent Portal and just to keep checking to make sure that your child turned in their work. Thank you. So we have links to Parent Portal and the school's website if you need to reach out to the teachers. Okay, we had a parent to ask for a list of the standards. As a part of the resources shared, we included Florida standards for reading and math that are aligned with your child's performance on Iready. But also at the very beginning of the year, our school sent a Title I annual meeting and open house presentation that we shared on all of our platforms for parents to access. The full presentation, the link to it is on this particular slide, and we'll send this out. But for some of the links in the presentation, we shared a parent guide for language arts, a parent guide for math, and all of the Florida 6th grade standards so that our families can look at them. We had a parent to ask, how can you get FSA preparation information? As a school, we're posting 2 information sessions online for remote viewing. And I do have to share, I've got to go backwards. I've been battling laryngitis, so this week I'm able to record and get those out. The biggest thing right now you can do to prepare is to work on the countdown packets that the language arts and the math teachers have sent home, because those packets have the information that the kids are going to see on the FSAs. And a lot of the questions are in the format that they're going to see on the FSAs. In addition to that, we have 2 20-minute presentations, one for English language arts and one for math that will go home with the students. I'm just taking you there quickly just to show you the information that we have that's going to come out to you. The only thing that's missing is the voice recording over it so that you'll know what it is you're receiving. So you will receive additional information. Ms. Lear shared that the students have the specific testing dates, but we will show you, just in terms of which standards are going to get the most attention, and that's aligned with the Iready report that you're receiving. You'll see which standards have the greatest concentration. For the writing and reading and math, you'll see sample items and other things that will be involved. So more information is coming on that. Seventh grade class selections. This question came in, and last week, every RSGA student received a green form to select their electives from Lake City Middle School. And I wanted to share, there's a video that Lake City Middle School has posted to their website, which is for their educational fair. They weren't able to host that event in person this year. If your child has not turned in their electives form yet, you will receive the link to that presentation and to LCMS's website so you can learn more information. But the video gives information about all of their electives. There's a notice on their website about every 7th grader needing a Tdap booster before school starts, and you can contact their school nurse. And this is the last slide. What else can you do to help your child be successful in school? For every resource that was shared tonight, including what Mrs. Harris and Mrs. Lear shared, we're sending web links for all the resources. We encourage you to stay in contact with the teachers. And if you feel as though there's a need for a parent conference, schedule a parent conference through guidance. And if you just need a further breakdown of anything that was shared or just more help or more guidance or more resources, you always can reach out to the teachers, but you can reach out to me as well. My phone number is in the initial email that you received that had the link to tonight's presentation, and my email address, or you can send a message through Remind and I will receive it through that platform as well. So I apologize again because the part at the beginning took way too long, and I apologize again for that. We do want to open it up for people who have additional questions. I didn't see anything listed in the chat, but are there questions? Is there information you'd like to share with the teachers while you have them here? So this is your opportunity, this is your chance. If anybody has any questions or comments they'd like to share. Oh, wow, we're gonna do the awkward silence thing tonight.
Well, just thank y'all for coming or showing up, coming, not really coming.
This
For
is
those of
Shane.
you-
This is Shane Beatles. Just thank y'all for holding this and going through all the information with us. I appreciate y'all working after hours as well to do this for us. So thank you.
Very welcome.
No.
Thank you, Ms. Beatles.
We appreciate y'all showing up. That's a big one.
And for those of you who
No
haven't
math
had an opportunity to
questions?
meet them, you all met the teachers. You get to see who they are. You'll know who they are when you go to the grocery store.
That's funny.
No, really, that's one of the drawbacks when we were talking about this year is that we haven't been able to have a lot of on-campus events. And so some parents haven't had an opportunity to meet you.
And it's weird for us too, because we actually really look forward to that. And we feel like kids perform better when we're able to communicate with parents a little bit more. And you need that face to face. So I'm really hoping that next year the kids get to experience that in 7th grade, and the 5th graders coming up get to experience that in 6th grade. So it's a necessary part of our job for sure.
Definitely. Miss Harris, Miss Lear, thank you all so much.
All right, bye.
Parents, thank you
You're
all
welcome.
so much for coming. Y'all, please reach out if you need anything. I'm just going to keep the room open for anyone who wants to stay, but I'm going to go ahead and bid everyone a good evening. Thanks again.